Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Broadsheet Melbourne Around Town. I'm Publications Director Nick Connellan, filling in for Katja Buckdell. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. So Audrey, the courthouse is back in action.
The courthouse is back. It's been taken over by the crew who have Nortons in Parkville, and they're back up and running.
Nice. So the courthouse, tell me about the building.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful Art Deco building on the corner of Errol and Queensberry Street.
In North Melbourne?
In North Melbourne, yes. Across the street from the Town Hall, which is also like a beautiful building and such a landmark of that neighbourhood. And the team have done a little bit of a renovation inside. So there's also like nice terrazzo tables, good wooden furniture. And they're really just like hospitality pros who know what they're doing, taking over like such an iconic pub.
Yeah, I was at Norton's maybe 3 months ago for a Sunday dinner and absolutely loved it. So that's on Royal Parade. And it's kind of in the vein of a, Royal Oak Hotel or Marquis of Lorne, where it's still a pub, but it's just that little bit elevated and you feel a bit more special being there.
Right, but not stuffy, like not too elevated or... Yeah.
Correct, yeah. So I imagine they're doing kind of a similar thing with the courthouse, is that right?
And there's some pretty serious cooking going on in the kitchen. So it's kind of exciting because that pub, it's kind of like hallowed halls in a way, like Zoe Birch, who now has Greasy Zoe's, which is a really kind of well-regarded restaurant, and the former chef of Garden State Hotel cooked in the kitchen.
And that was in the early 2000s when it was kind of at the height of the gastro pub.
Yeah, and I think Zoe was there early 2010s. So it's kind of cool to see that legacy being carried on. So the chef's cooking on a Paria grill and doing his own fish butchery, making his own sausages, like really kind of serious stuff going on.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's nice pastas and other things going on as well.
I feel like it's become such a thing these days, like for pubs to have good pastas as well. Like maybe a few years ago that wasn't so much the norm, but you almost have to now.
Yeah. And then what are they doing in terms of drinks? Are they kind of sticking to the old regulars or?
So this crew spent some time in London together and they're kind of nodding to that in the drink offering. So there are some English style ales and they're being served from hand pumps, which is kind of more of a British pub style. So when you're pulling the beer, there isn't any carbon dioxide put in. It's just oxygen that's giving it like a really creamy mouthfeel, I guess would be the phrase. Yeah.
Nice. Love that.
Gross as that phrase is. Yeah.
Where are they getting those beers from?
They're getting them from Holgate and Love Shack. And for more of the local brewers, they're working with Hop Nation, which is really cool as well.
Love that. Those are some really good breweries. They're doing some fun stuff with music as well, aren't they?
Yeah. So one of the co-owners' fathers has quite an extensive record collection. So they've got a vinyl player at the front of the bar. And when I was editing the story, the writer had put in this really fun detail, I think, that like as soon as the first front of house person starts for the night, like one of the first jobs they have to do is pick the record, which I think if I was in that position would be like equally exciting and terrifying. And then they have to make sure they flip it to the B-side when it kind of is time.
So they're kind of kicking off the mood for the whole night, setting the tone for the whole night.
Exactly. And then some of the records they have are like Queen Greatest Hits, few Dolly Parton numbers, Beatles White Album. So yeah, kind of classic vibe in there.
I love that. So I can just imagine sitting down with kind of house-made sausages, a nice pint of like hand-pumped English ale, and then listening to some Beatles or Dolly Parton or just like good vibes, right?
Yeah. But don't you think it would be like high pressure choosing the the vinyl for the night?
Potentially, but it's only one song.
That's true.
And I love that neighbourhood as well. They've got lots of good pubs already in North Melbourne, but I think you can always do with some more.
Yeah.
It's it's just such a lovely thing to do on a weeknight or a weekend to just go to a place like that where the vibes are good. The courthouse is at 86 Errol Street, North Melbourne, and it's open Monday to Wednesday, 3 p.m. till late, and Thursday to Sunday, midday to late. Audrey, tell us, who's taken over the Healesville Hotel?
So Matt Vero and Scott Connolly, who together run the Orang Hotel, and Matt is part of the Marquis of Lorne team, have just taken over the Healesville Hotel. Or I should say just reopened the Healesville Hotel. They've been working on it for a while now.
Fantastic. I think the Marquis of Lorne is such a great pub.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, every time I go there, I just feel good. I think it's really the blueprint for what a Aussie pub should be, right? It's not too fancy. It still has kind of a little bit of grungy stuff going on with that tiny little staircase but the food's fantastic. The drinks are good. The staff are friendly.
No notes.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
So I assume they'll be bringing a similar vibe to the Healesville Hotel?
Yeah, similar vibe for sure. I think decor-wise, or like branding and style-wise, it really kind of mirrors what they've done at the Orang, which is that more like retro 70s look. But yeah, I mean, you can't really open a venue with that experience behind you and not infuse the new place with some of that magic, I guess.
Yeah, I think they really just understand what a good pub is and what it needs to do with its local community. Yeah,
Sure.
especially in a place like Healesville, which is quite a tight-knit town and, has those links to the Yarra Valley.
Yeah.
So tell us how they're kind of changing the model a little bit based on that proximity.
Yeah, I mean, because they're in the Yarra Valley, they have access to amazing produce that you don't always get in Melbourne. And then also, it's such a well-known wine region. So, of course, they have local bottles available. Yeah.
Fantastic. I saw on the story that they've got Finn wines available, which is one of my faves. So those guys started producing out of Jamshed initially before they were kind of in the Yarra Valley. And then, they make some delicious stuff like those little Fizzy Boy Pet Nat cans.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen those around. So what are they doing with that produce that they're getting from the Yarra Valley?
Yeah, I mean, so they have two different menus. So they have a bistro menu and then a public bar menu. So they're pretty much doing pub classics and some pasta dishes, which I think is kind of what you want. If you have really beautiful produce, that you don't need to play around with it too much. Yeah.
So when I think about Marquis of Lorne, I think that chicken schnitty, the Rockling burger, the potato cakes. Are they doing things like that?
Yeah. So they have like pub classics. So fish and chips, chicken parm, sticky date puddings, which I feel like are making like a slight comeback. Like I think
they've never gone away.
You don't think?
No.
I didn't see them for a while and now they seem to be everywhere again. And then they're also doing like fresh oysters. They have a kids menu with ice cream and sprinkles, which was always my favorite thing as a child. So yeah, all the classics, playing all the hits.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And they're catering to kids really well, aren't they? They've got that big beer garden out the back, which last time I went there was just pumping. Is that still going to be a thing?
That's still there. And they've actually, there's also a kids' playground out there. So you can kind of just let the children burn off some energy while you enjoy one of the local wines.
Love that.
Yeah.
And what other areas are there within the pub?
Upstairs, they have accommodation. So there are 7 rooms and they're available year round. So if you want to make like a little weekend trip or you want to go visit some wineries, you don't want to do the big drive back to Melbourne, you can stay there. And they've also redone the room. So when they revamped the downstairs, they kind of added those 70s touches to the accommodation room as well.
That sounds like a great weekend away.
Yeah.
Hillsville is such a nice town. That main street's so sweet for a little walk up and down, and there's so many good places to eat and things to check out.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to go to the sanctuary as well? Like, I know it's a little touristy, but I so want to do a weekend.
Patting animals is always a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thanks, Dig.
That's it for today. As always, you can stay up to date at any minute of any day at broadsheet.com.au or on Instagram at broadsheet_Melb. See you next time.